In 1800, Beethoven put on a performance of his first symphony in Vienna. Audiences at the time found it a little bit strange, and it wouldn't be the last time that people found his music challenging. Even though he was following in the footsteps of Mozart and Haydn, he was already beginning to push the boundaries of music. Not bad for a first effort, if you ask me. Wonderful piece of music. Before long, Beethoven's fame spread and he began mixing with nobility. But unlike his predecessors, he didn't take a job with a wealthy patron. Instead, he became the first really successful freelance composer in the history of music.
Mozart wasn't a freelancer, he always worked for somebody. Haydn wasn't a freelancer, he always worked for somebody. Beethoven said, I'm not working for anybody. And in fact, in his adult life, his entire adult life, he never once held a paid position. He never had a job. He composed when he wanted to.
One of the things I really love about this symphony is the way Beethoven paints images with music. He gave it the name Pastoral. He gave each movement a descriptive title. This one for the second movement is called The Scene by the Brook.
To achieve the idea of the brook, Beethoven picks a time signature that's quite unusual. It's in 12/8, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's sort of an undulation about it, and you just can sense there's an inevitability about the water moving. It's not fast speed, you know, it's not a flood, it's not dramatic, it's just extremely comforting. And this undulation continues throughout the whole movement.
Beethoven loved nature. He loved the countryside. We know that from all the anecdotes of people who saw him striding across the countryside with his manuscript paper. This piece of music is unique in Beethoven's output. It is the only time in anything he ever composed that he actually wrote on the manuscript paper what it's supposed to be. Happy feelings on going into the countryside, merry gathering of dancing folk, scene by the brook. Beethoven had never done this before, and he never did it again. It just appealed to him at that moment.
Beethoven's musical guided tour includes the sounds of birds. He even names them in the score. Flutes, oboes and clarinets become nightingales, quails and cuckoos. It's no surprise to find a formal dance in the third movement of a classical symphony. But here, rather than strictly ballroom, we have hearty folk dancing. Beethoven's playing with the rules again. Beethoven describes the third movement of the Pastoral as the joyful gathering of country folk. It's a celebration of country life and dancing. But do you want to know the really amazing thing about this music? It was written at a time when Beethoven had lost most of his hearing. Surely a composer's worst nightmare.
The place that he wrote the Pastoral Symphony, Heiligenstadt, was where in 1802, when he was 31 years of age, he wrote his last will and testament. And he wrote those three little words, Ich bin taub, I am deaf. This was his last will and testament, not, as has sometimes been said, a suicide note, but a will. If I should die, this will explain to you why I was difficult. This will explain to you why I was not easy to get on with, why I was argumentative. I was deaf. What worse fate can befall a composer and musician?
Beethoven wrote the Pastoral Symphony in 1808, by which time his hearing had worsened yet again. But he loved his solitary country walks. He told a friend, "My bad hearing doesn't bother me here."